Hello everyone, this is CGNovo982 and today we're back for another brand new video. Today's video we are here for a wee Rangers International Roundup now, as it's been a wee while since we've sat here and done a Rangers International Roundup. It's basically just a Rangers Roundup but internationally. Hence the name. Now, I'd personally love to be able to sit here and say the video's actually going to get better in quality after that horrendous intro, but that's kind of the level we like today here on this channel, ladies and gentlemen. But before we go any further on with today's video, a quick wee shout out to the channel sponsors and the channel legends themselves, OneFootball, who do a wee cheeky free footballing app, so if you do want one, links for that is down there in the description below. But to business then, shall we? As there is a lot of people now called up from the Rangers squad to go ahead and represent their country, which in itself is a fantastic wee indication of how far we have came as a football team and how much we've improved as a football team. But with the increased numbers, it also means there's more to actually break down and discuss, so we need to just dive right into this one, shall we? And we'll start closest from home and we'll work our way out from there. So, aye. Let's start with Scotland. Now, Rangers had two players called up to go ahead and play for Scotland, and that was Ryan Jack and John McLaughlin. And let's start off with the latter then, shall we? Because somehow John McLaughlin lost out the starting spot for Scotland to David Marshall, which in and itself is so damn impressive from Stevie Clark, because when you look at it, John McLaughlin has kept a clean sheet in every single game he has played. 100% clean sheet ratio, going ahead and breaking records. Well, the other guy, David Marshall, hasn't played a game yet. 100% hasn't played ratio, if you will. Anyway, move away from Stevie Clark's madness. In the first game that John McLaughlin didn't play, Jacko actually did, and for me, he was neat and tidy and done what he was asked to do in a truly putrid Stevie Clark setup. But after that Israel game, which did finish 1-1, by the way, there was a wee reminder of why there's such a lack of interest in the national team throughout this entire country. It's just dead and buried, man. I ken so many people that didn't even watch the game. Hell, I only done it because I wanted to see how Jacko and McLaughlin did for these videos. That's the only reason. I'd have kept it off. If they were playing in my backyard, then I wouldn't have only shut the curtains. I'd have phoned the police and asked them to escort them off. But moving on though, Jacko didn't go ahead and play in the second game, as there was a lot of changes in the games versus a Czech Republic side that was a 15-man squad that was basically called up at the last minute and only had two players that was actually capped in that setup. Yet Scotland managed to scrape a 2-1 victory versus that. Can I just say, by the way, before we actually move on, because I've seen a couple of people comment and ask me on this, where I stand with the old Scotland national setup and Stevie Clark and all that. I said it day one on the SPFL show, when you had Ryan 118, you had Gogsy, you had Div, all gushing at the fact that Stevie Clark has been hired. He's done a fantastic job at Kamara. He's going to be a fantastic manager. Has sat there and went, I don't care what any of yous are talking about. We've just went ahead and hired a guy that plays anti-negative football, and all that is going to bring is anti-negative football results at the international level. That's what we're getting to. Yes, we won that game, but by God, did we no deserve to actually win it. It took another penalty, and it took us against the running play actually opening the scoring. And aye, Scotland's in deep trouble, ladies and gentlemen, but it certainly isn't on Ryan Jack or John McLaughlin's shoulders. It's no their fault. And what I mean by that, by the way, I'm not just blaming Stevie Clark, I'm blaming the entire upper brass at the SFA that continues to kill our game on a weekly basis. It seems like, so no wonder the national setup is where it's at. But moving on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time to turn our attention over to the brothers from another mother and go ahead and speak about Northern Ireland, because we had a certain man by the name of Stephen Davis get called up and play in both matches, which did actually see him go ahead and equal the great Pat Jennings international cap record. And that right there is a fantastic achievement and a true testament to the man and how professional Stephen Davis is. This is the guy that doesn't schedule dentist appointments when his national team's going to play and he can't play in the game. Nah. Whenever his country has needed him, Stephen Davis has been there. Has it always been perfect? No, but he's been there and he's fought. And I think that right there perfectly summarises the two games of football, because in the first game they played Romania, which we'll speak about later on in today's video as well. And was it a fantastic game from Northern Ireland? No, not really. But Davis, again, I thought was pretty good in the game. He was trying to get the ball about, and I thought as they went down to 10 men, Northern Ireland, I thought he actually got better, and you could see the influence, you could see sort of the calmness on the ball, and they not only managed to come back from being obviously down to 10 men, but they managed to come back as well from being a goal down with a late goal after a former Rangers man by the name of Big Kyle Lafferty throwing that big 7-foot frame of his like that to knock down an assist, and it ends up getting headed into the back of the net to make the game finish 1-1. Now, to be fair, if you're watching it from a game perspective and you're looking at that game, you'd probably say Northern Ireland probably deserved to lose that game because their goalie had an absolute wonder-type performance that's usually only out and about whenever we play a team. Their goalie has that performance. Well, Northern Ireland had that performance, and where they probably should have lost in that game versus Romania, they certainly did in the next game, as they were absolutely slapped 5-1 versus Norway with Big Haaland and Sorloth up top, the two 6'2" monsters just dominating and feasting. As both players got 2 goals and were both substituted off on a hat-trick, but they couldn't care less. They are 2 very, very scary centre forwards, ladies and gentlemen, and they just took Northern Ireland to task. But again, this isn't one of these you'll say, oh, Stephen Davis had a 1 out of 10, it was his fault he lost. No, they just came up against a much better and well-run side to, unfortunately, the struggles that Northern Ireland are having right now. But with that being said, that's the sort of home nations discussed. Now it's time to take a step away and go on our travels and a wee adventure on the Rangers' perspective. And as we just mentioned, Northern Ireland played Romania. Let's dive over to there then, shall we? Because we had a player playing on the other side of Stephen Davis by the name of Hagi. You may have heard of him. He's pretty good at the old football and hanging. What I really liked about this game, by the way, is how many sort of coming togethers that Stephen Davis and Hagi have. Like, again, it didn't happen all the time, but there was a couple of times where they were coming in for challenges, or Stephen Davis managed to turn away for Hagi, and I just thought that was really interesting, really fun to see, because we've all heard how Hagi has talked up the praise for Stephen Davis and how he's taught him so much, and watching Stephen Davis turn away from him a couple of times, I went, he's not taught him that. But regarding actual Hagi itself, it's got to be said, it was a bit of a coronation for the laddie again, and I was actually very, very impressed with him, because you can just see the expectations and the anticipation whenever he touches the ball because of that name on the back of the shirt, because of what his dad did for that country every single time he played for him. There is that pressure on him, but for me, I thought he played with foot pressure, and that's a sign of a very, very good player that's well adjusted up here, because he wasn't playing scared or playing safe. He was trying back heels, he was trying flicks, he was trying tricks. He was pretty much trying everything that he could to really show what he is all about, and I think he did that, because if you actually look at the goal that Romania scored, it was actually his clever free kick that did force a very good save from the Northern Ireland goalkeeper that was eventually slapped home to make it 1-0. So I think you've got to look at Hagi's performance in that game and say that was a very, very promising performance at the international level. Now, we did pick up a yellow card as he's got that wee bit in his game, but I think all signs were good for young Hagi playing for Romania. Now, he didn't play in the second game at all. He was an unused substitute, but that wasn't a punishment or anything like that. He was obviously recovered from the knock that made him miss a Rangers game, so he's just back being fit, so they were carefully managing him under probably some instructions from Rangers as well, just to make sure he is where he is and able to come back and play versus Dundee United. But as we keep talking about midfielders, let's go ahead and talk about another one then, shall we? As we jet set away from Romania over to Finland, as we talk about Mr. Glenn Kamara. And I've got a massive smile on my face, because it's got to be said to everyone that pulled on their international jersey that played for Rangers, for me, Glenn Kamara stood alone up here. I honestly thought he was excellent. And what I found really interesting about the double header from Glenn Kamara playing for Finland is he has a lot less defensive responsibilities in that setup, and it seems to play more to his strengths. Just go ahead and go forward, go above the halfway line, go and be the driving force. And the guy is doing that for his country, and he isn't just doing that with a smile, he's gone about with a swagger on that park as well, because he knows he is the guy there, and he seems to welcome that for the actual international setup. And I thought he was absolutely brilliant. Now, they did go ahead and lose the first game 1-0 to Wales due to a late game, but they responded and went ahead and won 1-0 versus Ireland, where once again you could argue he was up there in terms of the best performances, and you could maybe even argue they got man of the match in both games despite even losing the first. I think the correct phrase to use is strolled it, and if we can get Kamara playing like that and put him in a situation and a setup, he will get back to playing 9s, 8s out of 10s every performances if we can try and play more to his strengths, and by God did we get the blueprint in that double header for his country. But I think with that being said, that's enough talk about Rangers midfielders. Let's run it back and go backwards and talk about the Rangers defenders then, shall we? And starting off, we're on our way from Finland over to Sweden as we talk about Hollander, who was once again recalled for his country after that long injury sort of thing where it obviously took him out of it and he was kind of fell away, and other people really impressed for Sweden. But what I really like about this is, yes, he didn't play, but he's back amongst the setup, and that must just give him the confidence and the belief that if he keeps playing the way he's been playing since he's put on this Rangers shirt since he's came back for the injury, he will get his chance in that Sweden setup. And to be fair, he was an unused substitute in the first game as they lost 1-0 to France after some guy called Mbappe scored. I don't know. Never heard him. But there is a second game tonight versus Portugal at 7:45, where there is a couple of rumblings that we might get to see Hollander amongst that dogged, well-drilled Swedish defence. So if you're free about 7:45, you want to throw that game on, you might see the big man represent his country. Speaking of representing your country, we're now on our bike again as we go ahead and travel to Croatia and speak about someone who did represent his country. And it's very weird to say this because normally whenever we go to Croatia, I'm sitting here with my grin on and I'm sitting buzzing because BB has been the player on the international scene. Oh, Rocky's having a little cough there. He's usually been the guy that's been on the international scene playing 8s out of 10s and being someone that we talk about here as being the performer of the international break. But it's the exact opposite, if I'm being brutally honest. As much as I love BB, I'd say he played very, very poor as Portugal ran over Croatia 4-1, and his overall performance, if I'm being honest, he wasn't the worst on the park, but he did get turned inside out a couple of times, and the Croatia defence may as well weren't even there. But as we just mentioned for Hollander, BB actually plays again tonight at 7:45, where he will come up against that guy Mbappe and all that as they play France. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Croatian defence actually bounces back, because this is normally a defensive line that is well drilled and very good defensively, but the two centre halves were god awful versus Portugal. So it's going to be interesting to see how they bounce back and how BB performs. But BB and Hollander aren't the only ones playing the night. No. We need to take it to the under 21 level as we have a couple of very young, talented Bears playing for Scotland under 21s and are all expected to get some minutes tonight. And that's Nathan Patterson. You've got young Stephen Kelly, who again is turning heads with nearly every performance he's putting in. You've got Glenn Middleton, who a lot of people have forgot, but not me, hoping we see a very good performance from him. You've got Ross McCrory, who's still technically a Rangers player. But you've also got Kieran Wright as well and big Lewis Mayo, all expected to be involved. So best of luck to the young Bears that's going to be representing their country tonight. And with that being said, that's us actually done and dusted with today's video. Now we should have had the wee journey over to Switzerland to talk about Big Cedric, but unfortunately had to withdraw from the squad despite being called up because of that calf injury that made him miss the Hamilton game. So that is it, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. That is me all done and dusted in today's video. And before I actually wrap up, I just want to say thank you so much. I posted, I don't know if many people actually saw it, but I posted on YouTube just where my head's at, because obviously my brother's been in and out of hospital for the last 6 weeks. He actually fell down the stairs and rattled his head 2 nights ago, and it was just a bad experience because I had to go down there and phone an ambulance and everything for him. So my head wasn't right. That's why there's not been as many videos recently. But seeing the response and so many people just being so positive and just saying like the best wishes and that really gave me a big boost, and that's why I'm able to sit here with a massive smile on my face today and talk about Rangers. So honestly, thank you lads. This isn't about me. This isn't just this or anything like that. It's genuinely all about me and thee in this channel, and you help me as much as I try and help you with the Rangers now. So massive thank you from me, and thank you for watching today's video as well. All the best. I'll see you in the next one, and bye bye.